Love Pet Health Coach, and welcome to the weekly question and answer roundup for iPets Ally. So let me jump right into the Facebook page so we can talk about what's going on there. Let's see. So if you all have not seen the conversation we had last week on at the end of June on YouTube. Really like you to do that because I talked a lot about the effects of spaying and neutering on pets' health. And unfortunately, there was a lot to talk about and a lot that explains kind of what I've been seeing over the last 20 or so years. So check that out, and that will sort of preface one of the things that Kathy was writing about. So we talked about how maybe menopause goes through the same effect, and basically the quick lowdown is that as when we spay and neuter pets, their production of gonadotropin releasing hormone goes way up because there's no long feedback mechanism. And that creates a really high level of luteinizing hormone. And so as the luteinizing hormone increases, and often it's at 20 to 30x of what normal should be, then all of these tissues that shouldn't have receptors for it have receptors in the brain, in the bones, in the joints, in the gut, in the kidneys, in the cancer cells, all sorts of crazy stuff. And so for that reason, part of what we've been doing with the Crock-Pot diet and with glandular supplements helps the liver get rid of excess junk. And some of the excess junk is luteinizing hormone. So we talked about using estrogen in place of one, which is a excitatory kind of a stimulant that was used for weight loss in women until it started creating seizures and was pulled on the market, partly because people were taking way too much of it. But one of the things that you can use that is not a prescription is Simplex F for female. And my hope is that Kathy will be able to use this to transition Dottie off of men. Now, what I would suggest, I think Dottie is around 35 pounds, which is what Kathy says. So what I would suggest, Kathy, is probably using 2 tablets twice daily. And you could take that to 3 and using that for at least 2 weeks before you try to reduce the dose of Proin. Now, the other thing that is really awesome about Kathy's post is that we also discussed periodically going through your supplements and just stopping stuff to see, is it helping, is it not helping? And so after we talked about that, and I've had mentioned too that I had that reaction to turmeric, but when Kathy stopped taking this turmeric supplement she's been taking for some time, her skin problems stopped. And so that is fascinating and amazing. And this goes to the idea that, is issue. I think we're back. But at any rate, because Kathy had developed some sensitivity to the turmeric, that ended up showing up in her skin, not GI issues. So that's what I think. Remember, oh good, we're back. Thanks, Susan. That leaky gut syndrome isn't going to necessarily always be GI symptoms. It can be skin symptoms, it can be respiratory symptoms, it can be many kidney issues. So just a myriad of things. So thanks for letting us know about that, Kathy, because that is just awesome. You've been suffering with that for quite some time. So fantastic that it was a simple fix. Wonderful news about Jack and that he's feeling better. And then May, I think, you may just have to kind of keep transitioning up. Hopefully this spirit's starting to gain some weight. And Lucy not having so much trouble, or is having so much trouble. With gabapentin, if it's knocking her on her behind, I would even try just a smidge, like if they said 0.8, 0.8 cc's, you might try like 0.25 cc's. And I think you say in a post up here that, I think this was all, that she was kind of walking away from things. And it may be that it is the gabapentin, but that's part of what Anya and I were talking about yesterday. They will let you know if things are helping or not helping. So if she's walking away, when you take out the gabapentin bottle, then don't, and see if that helps. Let's see. And if CBD is helping tremendously, and especially if all you have to do is put it on the inside of her ear, then keep doing it until things sort of plateau. And then what I would do is maybe try twice a day, and then after a week, and then try once a day. And you'll have to kind of just bounce back and forth. And Janice is asking about Rosie, who's at stage 3 kidney disease. And stools are hard, Janice. That means that she is dehydrated, which is not helping her kidneys. So what I would suggest doing, if she will allow you to, is add a lot of water to the food to the point where it's almost soupy. If she won't do that and she will permit subcutaneous fluids, I would definitely look into that as well, because the constipation is coming from her kidneys trying desperately to get more water to flush out the toxins. So see if that helps. And the other thing about the aches and pains, tea relief is some boswellia is awesome. The Assisi Loop you could try using up to 4 times a day to see if you start to see an improvement. With Pepe, it took us, I don't know, the pain relief was pretty quick, but the improvement in his creatinine took a couple of weeks. So try that, at least twice a day, give it 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And if you can do it 4 times a day, even better. And then see if that will give you some help. But yeah, Assisi Loops, I'm astonished at what they can do. So Janice, I hope that's helpful, and Rosie gets a little more comfy. Had a really one conversation, as I mentioned, with Anya yesterday, so check that video. I think her perspective after losing her dog Zoe is really remarkable, and she's also got a great booklet that's available for you if you've got a pet that is facing end-of-life issues. It is about what our pets want in general, and she can help you figure that out for your pet in specific as well. Spirits poop. Yep, sweet potato you can use, butternut squash you can use. Red potatoes, certainly, if that's doable, because when you cook red potatoes and then make them cold, they become a resistant starch, so that can be very helpful. Uh, Green banana, you're already using bananas, so that's not so much help. Um, and Kathy, food sensitivities aren't the only cause of allergies. Most often anal gland issues are secondary to allergies, but I think you've mentioned that she only does this for a very brief period of time in the morning. And if that's all she's doing, I don't know too worried about it. You've got enough other things going on. Um, and then let's see, Dottie is the one actually that's on ProN. Let's see here. Let me make sure I'm not losing my marbles. Yeah, so, okay, we'll scratch that thought because it is Dottie. Yeah, gabapentin, vets want to dose really, really. So I would even try like 0.25 cc's and see if that's helpful or not helpful. It looks like that is it. Let me pop back over to this page. Let's reshare another page because I got a couple of questions that are. Yes, and so the conversation with Anya is on the Facebook page, Pam, and it's in the iPets Ally group as well as YouTube and kind of anywhere else we could put it. So she's just walking away from you without anything in your hands. This may be a situation where you want to talk to Anya because your kitty Lucy's been sort of dodging bullets for a little bit. So maybe see what it is you can do to help her. Or she may just be being a cat and kind of not feeling great and wanting to blow you off a little bit. So we had a question from Terry Wilson too. Let's see. Just do it this way because it's got a couple of windows to take a look at. So Izzy's doing okay, and let me pop over here. We'll take a look at her labs. So this is an interesting pH strip. Based on the picture of this strip you're showing, and thank you for sending it because this is hard to sort out. So we've got yellow, green, and sort of pale orange. Then I'm going to say we're probably like at 6.5, 6.75 pH. So that's still pretty acidic. So if you're still using baking soda or not using baking soda, restart. If you are using it, I would bump it up a smidge because remember we want to get to about 7 to 7.5 as pH, and that's going to be where all these colors are a wee bit darker, so somewhere in this range here. So check that out, Terry. Bump up the sodium bio, and then her kidney values are up a smidge. The other big thing, though, is that hematocrit is still quite elevated. And so what this tells me is that she's still super dry. And in fact, it's higher than it had been both in October and February. So whatever you can do to get water into this girl is going to help her feel better, and it's going to help bring down her creatinine level. Now, what I do like here is SDMA is sort of gradually dropping, which means you're making some headway with the inflammation portion. But the creatinine creeping up, we had a fairly significant bump from October to February, but it's creeping up along with that hematocrit. And so is the blood urea nitrogen, or BUN. and then everything else is looking pretty okay. So definitely on that, Terry, get some more fluid into her. Um, hope you are well, and that your mom's well too. And then one other question, Dana, this is fascinating about Bucky and his Apoquel. It just is fascinating that, he tried to drop the Apoquel dose. He's getting more agitated. He's cranking around and, getting weird. And then finally Monday, you decided that maybe he's using this behavior to manipulate you, and he got rescue remedy in a firm voice. And he's okay. And so, Dana, I think what happened, I mean, this is what we've done with Hayo, and this is kind of contrary to popular belief, right? What we finally had to do with Hayo is because she would get all flipped out, and we'd be giving her the, oh my God, I'm so scared voice. And what we found was that in doing that, we were amplifying her anxiety, we were amplifying her fear. And so when you told Bucky, no, these are the rules, I really don't like it when you do this, you're fine. Go outside and play. Like, wouldn't you send your kids outside? Go outside and play. And they'd go outside and release that energy, and then they'd come back in okay. So maybe that's what happened with Bucky. But what you've done essentially is redefine the rules. Like, dude, no, this is just not acceptable. Please help me out here. I need you to help me out because I need some energy for myself right now to heal. Boom, new response. Same thing with her. When we started saying, you are so brave, you really can get through this all by yourself, and not that, oh my God, it's all scary voice, because we all talk in weird voices to our dogs, right? Big transition in her behavior. You're very strong and brave, Haya. Oh, good. Yeah, she's chilling out. See, the wind is super high and she got a little anxious. We're just sitting here hanging out, doing our thing. She's chill now. So I hope it makes sense, Dana, but I think that's part of what's going on. And yeah, and Pam, definitely go check out that conversation with Anya. It was a lot of fun. And Lucy is saying that she does hurt but wants to be here a while. You try it at much lower doses because sometimes that can help relieve the pain without being so sedating. And Susan, not sure what you mean about broth. So I'll let you kind of pop up what you mean by that while I'm yapping away a little bit more. But, a couple of things coming up. Again, we're going to be heading to Europe August 7th, so we'll swap up some times as we get ready to do that. And we are now going to start opening up our pet health coach course to start September 1st. We are on week 9 right now for the current beta group, and I am really proud of the work they're already starting to do, not only with their own pets, but with other people's pets, friends, and neighbors that they're helping out. So totally psyched about that. If you are interested in that at all, please let us know. It is going to be a 14-week course. It will cost about $5,000, somewhere in that neighborhood, which is not a small amount of money. But my goal is to provide you with all the information you need, not only to help support pets, but also to make this a business so that you can make your own livelihood. We'll have some payment plans and a couple of things available that way as well. So that, so a broth for fluids. Yeah, thank you for that. So back to Janice's question about Rosie with a hard stool. Yeah, so you could use bone broth to flavor some water to encourage drinking. So that's a great idea. Thanks. And tripe for dogs. I am not a huge fan of tripe because it is the stomach of rumen. I know a lot of people swear by it, and it's like the only thing you should ever feed for kidney disease. But I don't really get the idea there. Um, so, I think a lot of people will use canned stuff, frozen stuff, um, but I'm not a huge fan. There is some there's some idea that it also offers some probiotic organisms, which is probably true because that's basically the fermenting vat for the cow, but I'm not sure that it's the right kind. So it does provide collagen and some other things like that because of the texture of the stomach, but but that's kind of it. So, I mean, Answer's pet food unfortunately got sold, and so a lot of people are backing away from their products. I know there are other frozen brands, and I know that there are canned brands as well. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just, I, I keep it's a thing that people have gotten into, but I'm just not sure. I mean, ultimately, it may be a protein source as if we end up having more difficulty with sourcing proteins, um, but as a raw treat, I'm not real sure about it. So that's what I've got for you this week, um, and let's go from there. So, Pam, see how Lucy does with that lower dose of gabapentin before you leave town tomorrow. Hopefully, that will give you an idea. Um, I was trying to think if there's something else, but I mean, honestly, if the D is working and she's willing to take it in the ear, I would go for that because that's going to be the easiest thing, especially in your absence. So I'm Dr. Ruth Roberts, and hi, and we wish you all a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you